morning. Hi, Erin. Hi, Lisa. Thank you for watching. So I'm coming on this morning to have a serious kind of dialogue. Actually, it's going to be more of a monologue-esque. And it has to do with relationships and how disposable we've become to think that relationships and connections with other human beings are. There's a lot of things that have happened in my personal life over recent years and probably since I was a child ultimately, but also with the movement of people of color being shot and killed with no sense of remorse or sense of responsibility. We had a huge moment in time this week with the murder charge and the recognition that George Floyd's murder was a murder. Only to have another young woman within an hour killed at the hands of a police officer. So there's a lot of stuff tied into this, but I'm recognizing in my life that there are themes in my own life that can be translated out into the world. And experiences that I've had that can be translated out from the microcosm to a macrocosm. And so there has been a situation or situations in my life in recent years where relationship betrayal, people who I have thought were my friends or really thought were deeply connected to me, did things that were less than loving, caring, nurturing, and I have had just this heartbreaking betrayal experiences. I am grateful that I've had the frame drum, especially in the last 8 years, to help me process and work through things. And what I want to talk about is our culture of focus on short-term capital gains. And this idea of focusing on our immediate gratification, our immediate drive, our immediate need, where we will do things in order to fulfill those needs without considering how our choices and our actions ripple out to the people around us, the people closest to us, the people who we deem as our maybe core relationships. And betrayal comes in many, many forms. And let's just say that I've witnessed and experienced some really heart-wrenching things over my lifetime. And what I know from a business standpoint is that focusing your business on short-term capital gains will ultimately be the demise of your business. Back when I was working at Griffin Technology, I left in the summer of 2012 after researching music therapy for them. And I realized that there was huge potential in sound and music for healing potential for the masses, for the entirety of humanity. I was woken up to the power and possibility of working with music therapists to help bring the concept of sound for healing and well-being out into the masses. Now, at the time, music therapists weren't really, they've been around for a long time, but they haven't been elevated to the level that they need to be. And hopefully, as sound and music continue to get focused on as a medicine, a natural medicine for people, that will shift and change. But at the time, I was really super aware that the potential for collaborating with music therapists with technology could potentially be a very good thing. The company decided that they needed to not go down that path and to instead have me work on a project that would result in more short-term capital gains. And I recognized that I could no longer continue to put myself in places where the concept of short-term capital gains trumped, I use that word very deliberately, trumped what we could do to heal the entirety of humanity. And so I left the corporate world at that point, recognizing that I would continue to be used as a resource for someone else's gain, someone else's power trip, someone else's vision for whatever it is they thought they were doing, usually based on short-term capital gains. Griffin doesn't exist anymore. Some years later, through different scenarios, it doesn't exist. And so I'm grateful that I got out when I did. And I'm grateful for the scenario around which I was able to get out. However, what I also recognize is that people are treating human beings and treating each other based on this short-term capital gains approach still, the competitive model. If we continue to treat people in our lives as secondary to our perceived business success, our perceived moving up the ladder of our own progress, and we don't consider how our behaviors are impacting our friends and family and the world and our community, we are going to continue to be in a very destructive pattern. Human beings are an important resource. Relationships are so important. As more and more people work towards healing themselves, it's becoming increasingly important to have established compassion, to establish listening, of establishing seeing and hearing what people are experiencing. The world of spiritual bypassing and distancing or denying the humanity and the pain and suffering of another human being will not serve the healing of humanity. I know this very clearly. Being vulnerable, sharing your secrets with people who you think are your friends and who care about you, only to have them turn and go towards the very thing that hurt you for short-term capital gains without caring about how it will make you feel when they've been extremely vulnerable and opening up their hearts to you, is not going to be your way forward. Consciously knowing that you're potentially hurting the person you call your friend, your loved one, will only in the end bring a karmic rubber band back to you of equal pain and suffering at some point. As we move forward in our collective, recognizing that each one of us has a soul's path and purpose, something, gifts to bring to the world, we need to be careful not to let the competitive mindset, the old paradigm and pattern, take over at the expense of our relationships with other human beings. I'm saying this because I've been on this journey of developing my business now for 8 years. And I've seen and witnessed a lot along my way, along my path. And I was in the corporate realm for 25 years. And I was very disturbed every time I would get in the man's world where competition, where football play games were up on the board of how we were going to dominate and annihilate the competition. And it just would sink inside of me, and I knew at a deep level that that was not going to be the way we were going to succeed. Innovation, new ways of creating require constant innovation, constant creativity, constantly focusing on what I or we can do better, or what the customer, the other person, what humanity needs. Not pushing products out there or trying to be competitive with the other person who is in a similar environment or production world as we are, gift-giving world as we are. It takes a lot of work, personal work, to shift from the competitive, the one-upsmanship, the warring, the I'm better than you scenario that we were entrained to be in. We grew up in. From the moment we started being graded and compared in our abilities with someone else's ability. There are people in my life who claimed in recent years that I was their BFF. Best friends forever. They confided in me. They came to me for support. I gave them loyalty. I lifted them up. I supported them in so many beautiful ways. And Lord knows I'll be called to continue to do that, and I will. And when it came time for me to express hurt feelings, challenged feelings, questioning behaviors, They either deflected or they disappeared. Deflected or disappeared. They could not hear of my pain and suffering. In the spiritual bypassing world, they would say, it's your problem, it's your issue to deal with, it's not mine. And the truth of the matter is, we're learning that we are all connected. And it takes two people behaving in a certain way to create a dynamic. And there is always an opportunity to learn and grow if we're willing to meet face to face, heart to heart, honesty to honesty, to work that out. To see each other at a deeper level, to understand each other's pain and suffering, and how we contributed to each other's pain and suffering. We have the opportunity to learn and grow from that. And yet, so many people aren't willing to lean in. So many people are afraid to lean in. I find it interesting that the sun is shining in this way, and light and dark. We have a lot of work, inner work and outer work to do to change the dynamics of what's happening on the planet. Compassion, empathy is required. But truly, we cannot develop empathy and compassion if we haven't experienced certain things for ourselves that have broken our heart, that have hurt the very core of our being. We can't go out and help other people unless we have known the pain and suffering that they may be experiencing. We can't authentically be present for someone else when we haven't done our own work. And we have to learn how to be able to come together in person. No more texting. We have to learn how to use our voices to speak out the vibrations that we need in our body, to move through our body, to speak out when we are hurting, to speak out the truth of our being, to stand up for ourselves when situations aren't good for us. We have to become our own best friend, BFF. Speaking out our truth empowers us. Speaking of our pain and suffering, speaking up about our hurt, about our feelings, feeling our feelings, and finding safe places where we will be honored and heard and valued. I am someone who has been there for so many people over the years. And my personal challenge is that I grew up in an environment where I was just an observer, very rarely spoke up when I was in pain and suffering. And I'm learning now that I have to speak up, that I have to let people know when what they say and do hurts me. Not necessarily to blame them, but to honor my own feelings and my own pain. And when I share my deepest secrets and pain and suffering, I need to know that I am held. That I am held in a container, a sacred container that won't be destroyed, that won't be betrayed, where people who I consider my best friends won't turn around and go off and make short-term capital gains more important than me. And our relationship. I've been with my husband for over 30 years. I understand more and more the value of moving through all of life's challenges with another human being. Through the highs and the lows and the deepest of lows, all of the challenges. We have become a culture that disposes people and relationships so fast if it doesn't feel good. And the truth of the matter is, the only way we're going to get to our salvation, the only way our souls are going to be able to complete our beautiful mission is if we can withstand and move through and learn to love unconditionally ourselves and others. It's not an easy process. And you can't throw away relationships. You can't throw away people. Because when you throw away people, you are setting a precedence for people to throw you away. You are creating a karmic rubber band that sooner or later will come back and smack you in the face. We have to be willing to go the distance with the people we say we love. We have to be willing to go the distance to move through the hurt and pain. We have to be mindful and careful to choose the right people to bring in our lives that can withstand the test of time. Short-term capital gains, short-term capital gains are killing our nation, are killing the world, are killing human beings. In the moment decisions where we're not thinking about the repercussions, we're not thinking about the lives and the pain and the suffering we're causing. It's killing us all. So, I hope for those that hear this message today, thank you, Chaos. I hope that people hearing this message in this moment get what I'm talking about. We have to care about the pain and suffering of other human beings. And we have to want to help each other heal. And we have to be willing to lean in even if it's scary, to find the love. I'm going to use all of my life experience. I'm going to use all my life experience to make sure I don't intentionally hurt another human being. And if I do hurt someone unconsciously, to be willing to say I'm sorry if they let me know that I did. I am to be a part of the change that's going to happen on this planet for as long as I get to be on here. And I hope that y'all are too. Thank you. Thank you. Have a good day. Have a heartful day. Have a compassionate day.